Welcome to Mike's Morning Mug. This is actually episode number 99 of Mike's Morning Mugs. Yes, we've almost done 100 of them. It will also be the last one from this location here in Ohio. So our 100th Mike's Morning Mug will be at the new location in Illinois. So what I wanted to talk about today on this particular Mike's Morning Mug, I'm not talking coffee today, although we're usually drinking it. We're going to talk a little bit about shadow people, specifically, are shadow people evil? I've had this question come up a lot. Of course, I just did a big shadow person presentation at the Ocean State Paracon out in Rhode Island. It's a lecture presentation, whatever you want to call it, that I've been doing at a number of different Paracons recently. And this one I actually did post to the Haunted Road Media YouTube channel, so you can check that out here. But one of the things I did not address that does come up a lot is, are shadow people evil? I am going to add a slide to the presentation for the next time that I give this at Spook Show Con, because it just needs to get talked about. As I continue to do research and people continue to ask me questions and I get feedback and I'm taking a look at what other people are talking about in the field, I think it needs to be clarified, at least my viewpoint, my stance from the research that I've done, the experiences that I've had, and all of that. And so, are shadow people evil? Well, it's the same thing to me as asking are people evil? Like regular people, like me, you, the guy down the street, the girl up at the corner, whatever. Are people evil? Well, some are, and some are not. Same thing with shadow people. So some shadow people, yes, are evil. Others are not. I've seen some people say that shadow people are darker than evil, whatever darker than, I guess, the most evil thing is. And yeah, sure, some are. Just like there are some people that are darker than the most evil thing you could imagine. But that isn't all-inclusive for all people, nor is it all-inclusive for all shadow people. From my own personal experiences, there are really only two specific shadow people encounters that I've had that I could say were, sure, mean, nasty, malevolent, maybe evil. And one would have been the crawler incident at Black Bear Church down in the basement area, where we had the crawler going all around us. It did get very dark and heavy down there. It did not harm us, although it did give everybody a bit of a scare when it threw a plastic bottle across the room. Or maybe it kicked it across the floor. We're not really sure, because it was dark down there after all. Now, we began singing hymns and saying prayers, and it did leave. Again, we weren't harmed. Then there was the malevolent shadow-type entity at the Edmond house, which was featured for the haunted episode Monster in the Closet. Now, it was dubbed in the episode as a wraith, but it was described basically as a shadow entity with two red eyes. And yes, it was terrorizing Taliesin. It was terrorizing the cat. So yes, dark, malevolent, evil, that one was. However, I have had a number of shadow people encounters where there wasn't anything like that going on, where it almost seemed like I scared it. And I've talked many times about the encounter that I had at Johnny V's, where it's just, a shadow wisp that just darted across the room, banged into the door, although you didn't see the door move, the metallic swinging metal door. It was basically like I walked into the room and I scared it, and it took off. There was the shadow person that would kind of spy on me, spy on my mother when we were in the process of unpacking at a new house that we moved into in Ohio. And again, it was like, unpacking stuff, turn, look, gone. That happened several times. Happened to my mother as well. She confirmed when I asked her about it. But it never harmed us. It never bothered us. It was, in 2 months, it was gone. And in the time that we lived there, never saw it again. I spent 5 years in that house until I graduated high school. My parents, after I graduated high school, spent another 3 years in that house and never saw it again. So, there's that. I do talk about, of course, the story, one of the very first paranormal experiences that I had perhaps the first, in which there was a shadow person in my bedroom when I woke up in the morning, and it's standing there in the corner and actually interacted with me. I was scared, terrified. I was only about 8 or 9 years old. So I tried to scream. I couldn't because I was so terrified. And it crossed my arms across my body, and then it ran off down the hall. Of course, I'm not going to get into the whole sleep paralysis bit here and the fact that I was not paralyzed with, body parts moving. However, even though I was scared because I was 8 or 9 years old, and I'm thinking it's an intruder in the house, I had no idea, shadow person, all that at the time, it didn't actually harm me, even though it did cross my arms across my body. I've had a lot of people suggest over the past couple years that it perhaps saw me as being deceased, and it was putting me in a burial pose. Again, that's not mean, nasty, evil, or malicious. Not at all. I've seen other shadow entities while I've been on paranormal investigations. Again, none of those have harmed me. Usually it's just been real quick. I've seen it across the room. Maybe it's darted across the room. Something like that. So most of my encounters have not been mean, nasty, evil, or malicious. Now, some people, of course, do report those things happening. So I'm not ruling out the fact that there are bad shadow people. There are. Just like there's bad people. I can't blindly categorize one specific type of species as being purely evil. I just can't. That'd be like saying all dogs are evil or all cats are evil. It's just not happening. You may have a bad dog or a bad cat in there somewhere. So some of you may find that overly simplistic. I just think it's common sense that not all of one specific type of species is going to be one specific way. Just like you could say there are likely races within the shadow people realm, as you have humanoid figures, ones that wear hats, one that come across as a wisp, one that some that come across as mists, some that are crawlers. There's a lot of different types of shadow people that are out there. Of course, there's the old hag, that you wake up, it's sitting on your chest. Of course, that's one that scares a lot of people, but they're not all identical. Like the rest of this universe, there are many variations. And so that is my stance on our shadow people evil. Some, sure, but not all. And that's going to do it for this last Mike's Morning Mug out of this location in Ohio. Please go ahead and leave some comments below. Let me know what you think about shadow people being evil. And if you've not yet, please go ahead and subscribe and click that bell icon to get notifications. I'm Mike Ricksecker. Till next time.